To welcome everyone to Hot Topics for Monday, August 31st, 2020. Want to thank everyone for joining us, and I want to say we're going to dedicate this hour to something other than, we talked about the fires last week, so now we're going to put out the fires with some water. We're going to be talking water. I'm really pleased to have Melodie Chrislock from Public Water Now and Kathy Biala from Citizens for Just Water to talk with us about a really important hearing that's coming up at the Coastal Commission in about 2 weeks, I think. Because we won't have a Hot Topics session next week because of the Labor Day holiday, I wanted to be sure to give you all and them enough time to get informed about what the hearing is going to be about and ways to get involved. So I want to thank you, Kathy and Melodie, for being here today to let people know what the latest and greatest is about this, the Cal-Am Water Project, and what's going to be happening at the Coastal Commission hearing, and when those dates are and how people can get involved. So I'm gonna let you figure out who goes first, what's gonna happen, and I wanna encourage everyone who is participating tonight to feel free to ask questions in the chat and in the question and answer area, and as the flow of the conversation allows, I will ask your questions to our guests. All right, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Jane, and for Wendy for hosting this town hall and allowing Melodie and I to join in the conversation. My name is Kathy Biala, and I'm from Citizens for Just Water, and I'd like to update everyone on our current water issues and the important need for our communities to step up and speak out at the California Coastal Commission meeting. It's a Zoom meeting on September 17th. Last Tuesday night, the Coastal Commission staff delivered a really wonderful recommendation to again deny the Cal-Am desalination project through the Coastal Development Permit. And without this permit, Cal-Am really has no ability to go forward and to build this illegal project in Marina. We're so close to getting a victory after years of work of Citizens for Just Water, which means all of you, all of the Peninsula folks with Public Water Now, the City of Marina, that means all of us, and the Marina Coast Water District, and that means all of us ratepayers. So we won't have to be harmed by the Cal-Am's project. It's an illegal water grab and destruction of our pristine dunes and beaches. We do expect a final vote on the Cal-Am desal project, and we need all of Marina and Ord community and the Peninsula's support. So today, for some of you who may not have heard enough about the Cal-Am slant well project, the Citizens for Just Water developed a 5-minute video, and we presented this to the Coastal Commission last November, which was the first hearing for the Cal-Am project. And it was done by myself and 2 other Marina citizens, Audra Walton and Casey Evans. We are not professionals. It took a very long time, so please excuse the fact that we're not videographers, but it covers all of the salient main points. So I just want to share that with you, and so we'll go ahead and do that right now.
Citizens for Just Water would like you to be aware of a classic case of environmental injustice that is unfolding right here in Marina and the Ord communities. Our story of environmental injustice begins with knowing who Marina and Ord communities are. We are a small city of about 22,000 located just north of the wealthy tourist area of the Monterey Peninsula. We are one of the few remaining undeveloped coastal cities where disadvantaged people live and easily walk to pristine beaches. Here are some key demographics from the July 1st, 2018 U.S. Census population estimates. Marina has 35.8% white alone, meaning 64% are non-whites. Marina has 14.4% persons in poverty. Marina has a per capita income in the past 12 months of $27,211. Marina and the Ord communities have shouldered an unfair burden of regional projects. Marina has been tasked with one of the highest mandatory requirements in the region to build affordable housing units. The regional landfill, as well as the regional sewage plant, create impacts to air quality for Marina residents. With the CalAm project, we are expected to shoulder even more of the region's burdens and suffer all the environmental risks and harms. Marina will not receive one drop of water from this project. In fact, it is all for a neighboring jurisdiction's sole benefit. Marina and the Ord communities are currently served by the small, effective, publicly elected Marina Coast Water District. For decades, MCWD has been delivering clean water at one of the lowest rates in the region. By contrast, the peninsula receives water from its purveyor, CalAm, a private, for-profit corporation that levies the highest rates of water in the country. After overdrafting the Seaside Basin and overpumping the Carmel River, CalAm is in search for a new water source for the peninsula. CalAm is attempting to reach beyond their own jurisdiction into Marina Coast Water District's service area without invitation. CalAm is stating that their project will pump ocean water, but in fact, they will pump brackish and fresh groundwater from aquifers beneath the land, not beneath the ocean. Our basin, the Salinas Valley Groundwater Basin, has been listed by the State Water Board as one of California's 21 critically overdrafted basins. Extraction of groundwater will occur from nearly the entire length of each slant well pipe, causing more seawater intrusion and further contamination of our basin, our sole source of potable water. CalAm's justification of this illegal water grab is that they can obtain future appropriative groundwater rights. However, in this very assertion, they are admitting that groundwater rights are relevant and they currently have zero water rights. Our breathtaking beaches are home to the threatened species, the western snowy plover, and many other shorebirds. Our love for the western snowy plover is reflected in our downtown banners: Grover the Plover, mascot for Citizens for Sustainable Marina, and ads for new homes in Marina. The western snowy plover was adopted by the city as our official shorebird. The CalAm project will adversely impact more than 30 acres of sensitive habitats. In 2017, the Coastal Commission, State Lands Commission, and the City of Marina passed the historic CMEX Settlement Agreement. This agreement ended the last active sand mining on any U.S. shores. When the CMEX plant finally closes, the land will be restored to its natural habitat, bought by public agencies, and dedicated to conservation and low-impact recreation in perpetuity. What is currently private land now will be publicly accessible in the future. However, this is the exact same site of the proposed CalAm desalination slant wells. The project would bring several large cement pads, pumping infrastructure, fencing, roads, as well as the pipes necessary to service this project, right on our pristine and rare dunes. The City of Marina has had to expend $1 million of our public funds to defend our water this past year, with $1 million more before this battle is over. Our roads need major repairs. We desperately need a new fire truck, more police hires, and a senior center. Our civic hall and city offices are in 43-year-old portables. Historically, most disadvantaged communities cannot successfully rally against the operational sophistication of major corporations, nor do they have the funding to support multiple legal challenges and expensive public relations campaigns. This is the heart of environmental injustice. And what is most troubling is that there is a feasible recycled water project, the Pure Water Monterey Expansion Project, that could satisfy the peninsula's water needs for decades to come and avoid all the devastation to Marina and the Ord communities. The Coastal Commission's new environmental justice policy gives hope that our voices can be heard. Please give weight and meaning to environmental justice per your new policy.
Okay, so let's see if I can get back here. Great. Okay, so I always have to laugh about our Mayor Bruce Delgado with all the children from that class. But I want to say, in listening to it again, I want to say that we're a little outdated. At that time, we said that it's costing Marina over $1 million. We are close to $4 million, having spent money to protect Marina from CalAm. So this is a huge impact that is not environmentally related, but it very much has to do with our future welfare. So what I want to do right now is sort of go through some highlights about what's happened since last November when the first hearing happened, which is 9 months ago already, and what was in the recent staff report from Coastal Commission. Please remember that CalAm and its allies are aggressively pursuing every way to defeat us. They have major money, a troop of very high paid attorneys, and paid full-time staff whose only job is to think about how they can defeat us even at this 11th hour. But remember, we citizens showed up last November and made a huge impression on the commissioners, and I was told that several of them were brought almost to tears by our speakers, including persons of color in our ethnic communities in Marina. All of us together with the City of Marina and Marina Coast Water District and the Peninsula and Public Water Now and others have done a fabulous job. And the staff of this Coastal Commission heard us. This past Tuesday, as I said, they recommended again denial of the CalAm Coastal Development Permit. And now we have to ensure that the 12 commissioners on the Coastal Commission will stand by the staff report and vote to deny this permit. So one of the most important things that they base their denial on is that CalAm's project is a classic environmental injustice in a big way. And I need to quote what the Coastal Commission just had in their conclusions. They had a whole chapter on environmental injustice, and this was an astounding conclusion. A strong one. There is a long history of government institutions allowing unwanted industrial development to be concentrated in underserved communities of color without their consent. Approving yet another would perpetuate this discriminatory land use practice in Marina. So this was a huge statement and caught the attention of many of us reading it, that in addition to all the major flaws of the CalAm project, it is undeniably an injustice to Marina. As a diverse, low-income, disadvantaged community, we have shouldered more of our fair share of regional undesirable projects, as we saw depicted in the video. And Marina receives zero benefits. We get only the risks and harms, and the Coastal Commission clearly recognized that. The Monterey One Board, who is responsible for the recycled water system and who unfortunately has a lot of CalAm allies on its board, recently failed to approve the Pure Water Monterey expansion project environmental impact report. We call that EIR. Due mostly to political maneuverings and not based on environmental impacts. I want you to think about this. The already operational recycled water project called the Pure Water Monterey project was approved to be already environmentally safe. So why wouldn't a smaller expansion project be approved? If CalAm can discredit the expansion project, then there's no other bar in town except, of course, their desal project. So that is what is occurring since November to now, that EIR was denied. But let's hear what the staff report said about this, and I quote, "Pure Water Monterey expansion is a feasible alternative to CalAm's project and will allow CalAm to cease its illegal water withdrawals from the Carmel River and meet the region's water needs," that is the peninsula water needs, "and is the preferable, least environmentally damaging alternative." I mean, those are pretty darn clear words, and they put it in the staff report. Another issue that was, I'm sorry, lost my place here. So not only does CalAm not have water rights in our water basin, which is called the Salinas Valley Groundwater Basin, so they have no groundwater rights whatsoever to extract any of our water, but also on the CMAX property, where CalAm has an easement agreement with the CMAX owners that they can run some pipes through their land for this desalination project. And that's called an easement agreement. Now, the CMAX property has only legal rights to pump 500 acre feet of groundwater from that area, right? And that was allocated because they need to be able to pump water and wash the sand of all the salt before they put it in their trucks and sell it. So that's why it's 500 acre feet. CalAM's project, however, is going to take far more than that. Instead of 500 acre feet, they are planning to take 17,000 acre feet, or 15.5 million gallons per day from our groundwater aquifers. The city of Marina has recently filed a lawsuit on this issue, so yay Marina. And what does the Coastal Commission staff report say about this? And I quote, "The proposed project has become extraordinarily controversial, spawning at least 10 lawsuits over the project's more than 8-year history. Staff believe the Pure Water Monterey expansion has fewer and easier hurdles to overcome than the CalAM project." And I translate this to mean that 10 lawsuits against CalAM's project and none for the Pure Water Monterey expansion. So which project is better? The Coastal Commission also reports up to 35 acres of sensitive habitat will probably be either temporarily or permanently impacted by the CalAM slant walls on our dunes. The recent staff report says, and I paraphrase, "Staff and CalAM do not agree as to the specific amount of acreage that will be disturbed and the amount of temporary versus long-term impacts of those areas. With some of these concerns not able to be resolved, staff therefore recommends that the proposed project be found inconsistent with the Local Coastal Act and the LCP ESHA policies." So what they're saying is that the Coastal Commission, if they're in doubt, if they do not have sufficient amount of information, they must deny the permit. So that is in our favor, of course. And another issue that's gaining more attention is that Castroville will be given free desalinated water by CalAM. And I say it free, it's a really reduced rate, desalinated water by CalAM without the Peninsula ratepayers' approval, when these same ratepayers are paying the highest rates of water in the whole country. And CalAM, rather than giving back the free water to Marina, from which they stole the water from in the first place, are giving it instead to Castroville. And consequently, Castroville is showing up in support of CalAM, who wouldn't, saying they are a disadvantaged community, which they are, and are entitled to this water. But the Coastal Commission saw right through this ploy and stated, and I want to quote this is really very strong. "Although Castroville has 3,742 individuals with incomes below 200% of the federal poverty level, the number of individuals with income below the same poverty guideline in Marina and the CalAM service area is 27,525, or approximately 7 times greater. The benefits of this project going to one community of concern would come at the expense of the other underserved communities." So Coastal Commission totally deflated CalAM's strategy about adding in Castroville into this consideration. Then there's a new issue that has just surfaced in about the last month or so, and that is related to Marina's wetland and vernal ponds. And this was brought up by the city of Marina. And the Coastal Commission says that in their July 2020 independent hydrological review, it shows that the groundwater elevations are decreasing by as much as 4 feet beneath some of the wetlands and vernal pools in Marina. And so what they're suggesting is that this project will impact our vernal pools, which by definition means that it is deserving of protection by the Coastal Commission. And this was not brought up in the original issues in the application. So staff again says they believe that the lack of adequate information about these potential impacts to the area's vernal pools does not allow them to approve this project. Okay, it's same reasoning as what we just covered before. So I also want to kind of go over briefly, for the interest of time, some of the other significant problems, the fatal flaws of the CalAM project as identified by the Coastal Commission. So this is, not one side or the other. This is by the Coastal Commission, who hears from both sides. One, the Coastal Commission adopted newer standards for sea level rise. That is, it is coming a whole lot faster than anyone ever predicted before. And this would result in basically Cal-Am's well fields being buried under a whole bunch of sand sooner than expected. So that is a huge problem. And the second one is that they don't yet have a pipeline that is needed to deliver water between its desalinated facility, near Benson Road there, and its service area, which is the peninsula. Another issue is that Cal-Am has to get additional permits to install a corrosive resistant liner into the outfall pipe. And this will then result in more adverse impacts to our sensitive habitats. There is an outfall that they use to put additional excess water that's, I'm looking for the word, not excess, but what am I trying to say, Melody? The excess water, that outfall, yeah, and it goes through this pipe, and it will block the access to the beach, and that water is much more salinated than the sewage water that is presently going through it. And so they are required to do some liners on that. And that, again, was not addressed in the original application. Another issue that is very important is the whole issue about the Cal-Am's water rights that we talked about. They don't have any water rights, and this is what the Coastal Commission says. Coastal Commission questions whether, and I quote, whether Cal-Am will be able to successfully obtain the appropriate water rights it needs to extract groundwater from the basin. Really clear. We have been saying forever that Cal-Am has no water rights, and they've been saying, well, in the future, we might be able to get appropriate groundwater rights. And here, Coastal Commission is saying basically, they wonder if they will ever get that ability to have water rights in our basin. Okay, so these are very big problems. Then the last one I want to mention is the issue of the CMEX easement agreement. And remember that Cal-Am has been asserting, which is true, that they have had a legal agreement with the CMEX sand mining. And so they can put those pipes through there, and they see that as a legitimacy of building the slant wells. And in the report that came out last Tuesday, Cal-Am was very clear that having an illegal easement does not mean that the Coastal Commission will not deny the permit based on their own criteria for protecting the coastline and the dunes. So many of these issues have been deflated in the Coastal Commission report, and we are extremely happy with that. I want to just say that please go to the Citizens for Just Water website. It's www.citizensforjustwater, all one word, .org. We have 3 things that we're encouraging everybody to participate in. One, to be a speaker at the September 17th hearing, and it would be probably around 2 o'clock. We're not quite sure all the time about when people get to speak at public meetings, but we have assistance for filling out the form because it tends to be a little bit dicey. It's a longer form, so we have a number you can call and we will help you fill it out. You get to only speak for 1 minute, so you have to practice and really be very crisp about what you're going to say. We have scripts available, and also talking points are available. We have a letter campaign, and I want to just show you on our website, we have an example. We'd like people in Marina to attach your picture of your family so that the Coastal Commission can see who they're talking to, who is writing the letter. And we have, the to and the from and the subject and a sample. So please go and look at our sites. We also have the Western Snowy Plover campaign, and I have that available here, this one. Please you can pick up one, you can download this from our site, put it in your windows, and we have a lot of our small businesses with this in our collage. You'll see them in people's houses. We'd like you to take a picture of yourself in front of that. So we're going to be communicating that to the Coastal Commission. So we have 3 ways that you can participate, and we really, really want you to help us on September 17th. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. You packed a lot of information in there.
Yeah,
Really
fast.
So one question that came up while you were talking was there are people who are concerned about the cost to the city of Marina. And someone clarified that the money that you're talking about is just money that was spent by the city of Marina to fight this, that Marina Coast Water District has also been incurring great costs due to the lawsuits that CalAm has been bringing. But the question was whether there was any possibility of recouping the costs that Marina has incurred once the if the permit is denied and once this is done.
I don't know for sure, but I think not. I'm not the person to ask about that. So when we incur a defensive lawsuit, I don't believe that we would recoup money from this, but I can certainly find out. That's a good question, but I don't think so. So this is a big issue for us because we can't recoup. But just making a distinction about this is what went into legal fees for defending ourselves. Melodie can also talk to you if that's what I thought maybe the person might be asking, is the cost of the desal project itself. That is huge. And that kind of cost is being borne not by us in Marina and the Ord communities. That cost is being shouldered by the peninsula ratepayers of CalAm.
Yeah, maybe I should pick up there.
That seems like a good segue.
So Public Water Now, my name is Melodie Chrislock. I'm the director of Public Water Now. Public Water Now is a nonprofit, a local nonprofit that was formed in 2013, basically to fight CalAm, because we saw the writing on the wall and we knew what they were going to do with our water bills, and they were being very negligent in finding a new water supply for the peninsula. They had overdrafted the Carmel River and then overdrafted the Seaside Basin, our 2 natural water supplies, and we could see what they were headed for. So we put a citizens initiative on the ballot in 2014 to try to buy them out. And that failed. They put up $2.5 million against our efforts and they won. But then in 2018, they put up another $3 million, but this time we won. So the buyout of CalAm is in process at this point, but it takes a long time because it has to probably end up in eminent domain to take it away from this company. But what I wanted to point out here, no one on the Monterey Peninsula agreed to this. What this is, CalAm is an investor-owned utility. So if you live in Marina, you have nothing to do with investor-owned utilities. But if you live in Seaside or Delray Oaks or Sand City or the rest of the Monterey Peninsula, you know what these CalAm bills look like. An investor-owned utility is motivated to earn money for its investors, not for the interest of the public. Marina Coast Water District, they operate for the benefit of the public. CalAm operates for the benefit of its parent company's investors, American Water. So our community, unlike Marina's, has no say in what happens with our water system. CalAm is not answerable to our community in any way. They answer only to the California Public Utilities Commission or the State Water Resources Control Board. And there was back there, like years ago, there was an attitude, I think, that got going that somehow the wealthy peninsula was doing this at the expense of Marina. But I just want to make it very clear that nobody here had any control over Cal-Am. We couldn't have stopped them. We wanted to stop them, and we've tried to stop them. And eventually, I think we will stop them. But they basically decided they were going to build this desal plant. If you live in Seaside, Doix, or, you know, Sand City, or anywhere else on the Monterey Peninsula, you will pay for this. They build it, we pay for it, probably about $1 billion over 30 years. And then they sell us the water and they make the profit. This is one of the craziest schemes you've ever heard. And this is what investor-owned utilities, this is a big problem with them. They're not that common anymore because about 85% of Californians get their water not from municipal agencies like Marina Coast. But Cal-Am still owns about 15, no, they don't own 15%, but 15% in California is still investor-owned utilities providing water. And we, unfortunately, are among them. So that's how this got started. And they engaged a lot of the mayors of the Monterey Peninsula. They engaged the big businesses who were getting a real break on their water. And they began to lobby the state agencies and tell them things that were not true and speak for the community, where the community really never had a voice in this until we really organized Public Water Now and started to fight them. So that's the backstory of all this. So we've been fighting this for about a year now at the Coastal Commission, and the staff of the Coastal Commission has heard the facts, and as Kathy said, they've released their staff recommendation to deny this desal plant. But the commissioners, there are 12 of them, don't have to vote with their staff report, and therein lies what we need your help with. So on the set, we need letters to go to the Coastal Commission, commissioners. And there's just one simple address. It's on the front of the Public Water Now website right now, just publicwaternow.org. There's a little message there with the email address where you can write the Coastal Commissioners a letter and tell them why you don't want Cal-Am's desal and why you do want the alternative, which is the Pure Water Monterey expansion, which makes a lot more sense. Environmentally, it's a beautiful project. Cal-Am's desal plant would be the biggest greenhouse gas polluter on the coast. It's massive. It draws, 60,000 megawatt hours from PG&E, whereas the actual Pure Water Monterey project is run on landfill gas from the nearby landfill. So it's quite a state-of-the-art environmental project, and it costs a fraction. It will cost the ratepayers here a fraction of what Cal-Am's desal plant would cost. So we are all very hopeful that the Coastal Commission will say no to Cal-Am and force them to go with the Pure Water Monterey expansion. So so that's pretty much the overview from the peninsula's side of things. You can also, if you need guidance on writing letters from the peninsula's perspective, you can go to the same website, publicwaternow.org, and go to events and email info@publicwaternow.org, and I will get those emails and I can send you back talking points for letters or making a 1-minute comment at the Coastal Commission on September 17th. And we really need people to take this seriously. Our water bills are the highest in the country. Out of 500 water systems across the country, we have by far the highest cost of water. People's bills, if you don't live in one of the peninsula cities, you may not realize how high these bills have gotten. But someone living on a $35,000 a year income in Seaside is paying over $100 a month in water. $120 a month is the last one I heard. People living in Monterey, Pacific Grove, Carmel, those bills are running $300, $400, $500, $600 a month. It's it's just obscene. No one's ever seen anything like it. And most people outside this area can't even believe that anyone would be charged this kind of rates for water. But this is what Cal-Am is capable of doing, and no one holds them accountable. And we just have to pay the bills. So we're anxious to get rid of them. And this desal plant is thought that it would double a lot of these bills, making water here completely unaffordable for all but the extreme wealthy in Pebble Beach, maybe. But the peninsula, there's a lot of people here that are not wealthy by any standard and can barely afford these water bills right now. So anything else? I mean, maybe just leave this open for questions if there's.
Yeah, thank you, Melodie. I actually did want to ask you, we hear about the cease and desist order, which the state finally put its foot down and told Cal-Am that it needed to stop overpumping the Carmel River. Could you talk about how the Pure Water Monterey project, the desal idea and the expansion, sort of how all that fits, and because I think there's a deadline that's coming up pretty soon, and what's the thinking about how the community can stay on the good side of the state in terms of the cease and desist order?
Okay, so the problem here is that after decades of overdrafting the Carmel River, the state came in and said, Cal-Am, guess what? You're going to stop doing that now. But Cal-Am, that was 25 years ago, and Cal-Am never stopped. And so they've had one scheme after another. First, it was to build a massive dam that would have caused so much development in the Carmel Valley that it was voted down. And that failed. Then they tried a regional project with Marina. That failed. And now they're on this desal plant. All of this is because of overdrafting the Carmel River. So they're still using this argument. But what's fascinating right now is that because we now have the Pure Water Monterey Phase 1 project operating, that has added, the peninsula only uses about 9,800 acre feet of water a year. Very small amount compared to what it used to use. And we actually have right now, with the Pure Water Monterey project, which gave us 3,500 acre feet of new water, almost a third of our water now is going to come from this recycled groundwater replenishment project. And with that 3,500 acre feet, come December 2021, there won't be any fines or any rationing, because we will have enough water to actually meet the CDO requirements on the river. Unfortunately, we won't have enough for any growth. It will just bring us to pretty much equilibrium. We'll be legal, but we won't have water for growth. And that's one of the problems and the reason we need to expand the Pure Water Monterey project. So Cal-Am knows this, that if we expand the Pure Water Monterey project, then there is no further need for desal. So they have been trying everything they can think of to kill this expansion idea. And now they're trying to say that, they're still trying to say, oh, the river, December 2021, they'll be all, the sky will fall. It won't. There's no problem. It's through the conservation efforts of everyone on the peninsula and the Pure Water Monterey project that's now operating, we have basically solved the river problem. It won't be an overdraft come December 2021.
So you're saying that between the conservation efforts that reduced the demand for water in the Cal-Am service area, and what is allowed to be pumped from the Carmel River,
which is about 3,400 acre feet,
plus the Pure Water Monterey Phase 1, which is operational now, that the community, or that we will be able to meet the terms of the cease and desist order in all of its terms, or the benchmark for December of 2021?
Well, we will no longer be overdrafting the river. Now they can go on and say, well, we're not going to lift the CDO because we think you need to have more water. But they can't fine us or do anything because we're meeting their legal draw from the river at that point. So that's the game that's being played right now at the State Water Control Board is, well, yeah, okay, you may be meeting the river, but that's, we want to see a water supply for the future. And it's like, okay, but,
One thing at a time.
let's celebrate what we just accomplished.
Right.
It took CalAm 25 years. They couldn't solve this problem. And 3 public agencies, Marina Coast, the Monterey Peninsula Water Management District, and Monterey One, working together, 3 public agencies solved this problem in 5 years. After CalAm couldn't do anything about it for 25 years because everything they want to do, first and foremost, is where's the profit in this for CalAm? So that's where they can't do anything. Plus, they're fairly incompetent to begin with. It would be a nightmare to have them running a desal plant or trying to build one. The test well they built in out there, on Marina's coast is like, it was supposed to be $4 to $6 million, I think, originally. I think it's up to $21 million. So, if you take a $300 million desal plant, all bets are off what it would really end up costing us.
Wow. There's a question that someone has about the actual kind of desalination process design. They're asking, is it true that the particular desalination process that CalAm wants to build is designed by RWE Group? Was that CalAm's former owner? So that's one question, and the other is that the process that CalAm wants to use, they're wondering if there are more efficient and effective desal processes that could be located somewhere else on the peninsula if someone wanted to do desal, or is that just hearsay?
They're using slant well technology is the only unusual thing about their desal is instead of open ocean intake, people think of a desal plant just pulling water from the ocean. Not this desal plant. This desal plant pulls 100% of its water from the groundwater basin under Marina. So therein lies the big problem that Marina has to fight because of the water supply being sucked away and contaminated by all these wells. They want to draw over 17,000 acre feet a year out of that groundwater basin. And that's huge compared to the peninsula only uses less than 10,000 acre feet for the whole peninsula population in a year. This is a lot of water they're talking about.
Yes.
So it's the slant wells in the groundwater basin that create all the controversy and the problems for this plant. Otherwise, it would be a normal desal plant like that in Southern California. But the source wells are the big technological if.
Right.
There's no other desal plant in the world using these slant wells. And they were originally supposed to be under the bay, under the ocean floor, but that didn't work out so well. They had to pull them back, and now they're all in the groundwater basin. So, I mean, eventually the peninsula may need desal, and probably the Moss Landing area, open ocean, is a more logical place to do it. The Coastal Commission has really retraced its steps on this. They don't seem to be at all that anxious to get California doing a lot of desal. They're far more focused now on the recycled water and doing groundwater storage and replenishment like the Pure Water Monterey project. So,
and I want to say that this new technology, the slant well desalination, is really not been done anywhere in the world. And there in down south, they did attempt to do one, but I think that it stopped for various reasons. One of them is the expense that Melodie, reviewed. Is that this is the most expensive way to get water, and so people found other ways in which to solve their water needs, just like we are doing here. And it's not that we are saying that we're against desalination. It very well may be that sometime in the future, 10 years from now or more, that we do need something like that, but it should not be done by a one for-profit private company who has complete profits from that project. So if we do one, I would hope that we do a regional publicly owned desalination project that everybody in the entire region, from Moss Landing to Marina to the peninsula, all of us share in the costs and the risks and the benefits and the harm, if there is to be harm. So this one is really set up in a very one-sided way. And so when you're going to invest in something like this, it really should be publicly owned. And this is not the project. When the original CPUC, that's the California Public Utilities Commission, who approved the EIR for this project, they asked for alternatives. And so in that document are probably, I think, maybe 5 or 6 different alternatives for this project, all the way from the Moss Landing sites. So it isn't just restricted to Marina, but they chose Marina exactly for what we have just talked about, because Marina is a disadvantaged community, we're a poor community, and they thought that we would be ripe for domination by CalAm and being able to extract illegal water. I mean, that's the final conclusion for the Coastal Commission as well. So I say this not as my own opinion, but why Marina? That's the answer. So yes, there could be some other alternatives in the future for desalination or for other locations for that project within our region.
When you think about how well the 3 public agencies have worked together to solve the problem, it's likely that those same 3 public agencies would work together in a regional desal situation to do something that was really a benefit to the whole region.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
it makes it would make sense. So there's a question from Facebook that really was just asking why the Marina site was selected, and I think Kathy, you just spoke to that.
Yes.
And another question was if CalAm is denied this permit, what are the next steps, if any, in terms of cost recovery from for CalAm ratepayers, you know, because of the costs incurred so far for this project?
Well, so far, CalAm is on the hook for over about $130 million. And if they can't do this project, they really can't charge the ratepayers. They can't get reimbursed. That's why they're fighting so hard right now. I don't know what will happen. Right now, their shareholders would have to take on this $130 million because the rules say that they can't put this onto the ratepayers' bills because there's no benefit. They haven't provided anything for this money. So that's one of the interesting dilemmas CalAm is facing right now, is how are they going to get reimbursed for this money that they spent so unwisely without, you know, getting any groundwater rights? The craziest thing about this is all along, they have not had rights to the source water for this desal plant. I mean, they've pretended that this was ocean water, but it's not. It's groundwater. It's a groundwater desal with no groundwater rights. And the CalAm is they are amazing at denial. And I don't know why some lawyer didn't say to them early on, hey, this could really go south and you'll be on the hook for $100 million or more, but now they are.
They were pretty confident in their stance, but kind of in concert with that question, Jan Schreiner answered the question about the cost to Marina in terms of legal cost of over $3 million at this point, and probably more than 3.5 million, as I understand it. So she has answered and said it's highly unlikely that we would be able to recoup that. that amount from our city funds. And when I think about the tragedy of that, is that we are very concerned with the impact of COVID-19, and we have done as a city so much to try to help our residents. And here we could have had $3.5 million in our city coffers, and we've had to spend it in this way. And it was unprovoked. We did not invite this. We did not insinuate in any way that we wanted to engage in this kind of project. So that's a true tragedy. So
Yeah,
lots of money involved.
Really, and we look at the cost to us of in our community. If you think about people paying $300 a month for water, well, all that money is going to Cal-Am outside this area. It's going back to New Jersey to their parent company. All that money, I mean, you're talking about, 40,000 connections and, hundreds of extra dollars a month times 40,000 leaving this community that could have been in this community, with people shopping here and doing, activities here. So yeah, this is a bad situation for everybody. And I think the Coastal Commission has recognized this, and let's just hope these 12 coastal commissioners, some of them are heavily lobbied by Cal-Am, and some of them are very pro-development. So we don't really know which ones will be on our side and vote this down, vote Cal-Am's desal plan down, and which ones will not. So that's the rather nerve-wracking thing that's about to happen.
So that's probably a good segue to say again where people can get information about talking points and how to participate in the Coastal Commission hearing. And then there are a couple of other comments that I want to be sure to get to.
Okay, so publicwaternow.org is one source. You can go to the front page of the website. The Coastal Commission address to write letters is right there. You can go to the events tab, and there's an email address there that you can email me if you want more information on talking on the 17th, or you want talking points for letters or just the 1-minute comments.
And for Marina and Ord communities, please go to www.citizensforjustwater.org, and we have all the information there you might need if you want to speak, if you want to write letters, and if you want to participate in our Stop Cal-Am Western Snowy Plover initiative. So all of those things are there.
Great, thank you. And those links to those websites are in the chat, so anyone who can see that can see those. So there's one of the participants who commented that if Cal-Am's project is approved and goes forward, that it would put the value of Cal-Am at such a high price that it could very well preclude the opportunity for the community to become the public purveyor of water on the peninsula.
That's not likely, Jane. The way they did the feasibility report back in November, they took the worst case scenario if we had to buy Cal-Am, and it was $513 million, and it was still feasible. So even if they do this, we'll still be able to buy them out.
Right. I think though the point is that if we lose on September 17th, and if they do get the CDP, that the commissioners vote against their own staff report and do approve this project, it will be a significant blow to us. So I don't want to underestimate that. I think we are going to see a whole lot more lawsuits, and I can't even imagine that if Cal-Am gets approval for this project and completes a project, and the peninsula will certainly be lobbying with everything they have to stop this on their end. But should they build this project, the minute they start withdrawing water from the aquifers under Marina, I can't imagine that there wouldn't be some significant legal actions against that. So there is a complex the complex scenario, a chain of events that could happen, but it will be a significant negative to us in our fight against CalAm if they get this approved. This is an
It costs us a lot more. It'll cost us a lot more to buy it. So we don't want that to happen.
Yes.
Right.
It won't stop others. I've heard people say that it will stop the buyout, but it won't.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And then Jan Schreiner also mentioned that when the question of locating the project in Marina, you know, there was that question, was asked in the city council meeting about the test slant well that's there. Rob McLean, who was the president of CalAm at that time, said that Carmel residents would never let this kind of thing happen in their jurisdiction. So they went to Marina where they thought they could get away with it. Jan didn't say that part, I did. And then Jan also is saying, and to the question of stranded costs, like will the ratepayers have to pay for that $130 million that CalAm has incurred? Jan is saying the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission, has a history of approving all expenses to be charged to ratepayers plus 9.9% profit. So I don't know if that would happen in this case.
The way this is written, they can't do that. That's a big thing for them.
So there's something in their own proposal for the desal?
Yes, there's something in the CPUC's rules that says, no, you can't do that. I can't remember the exact wording. I think it's to get reimbursed that the project has to be used and useful. So this kind of $130 million down the drain for nothing is not used and useful, so they can't do it.
Okay, well, let's
try. They'll try to find a way.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Good. So I just want to reiterate that anyone who would like to participate in the Coastal Commission hearing on September 17th, there are tips and there's information about how to do that at www.purewatermonterey, all one word, .org, and also at www. Public Water Now. I think there's probably information there. And then also at www.citizensforjustwater, all one word, and it's the word for rather than the number, citizensforjustwater.org. And there's Citizens for Just Water on the screen. And I want to you're getting some thank yous from attendees, and really appreciate all of your efforts, both Citizens for Just Water and Public Water Now, for all the work that it has taken to educate yourselves and the community to activate people's interest in this really important issue that is not just about drinking water, but about social justice. So really appreciate all of your efforts. And I do want to say in our last minute or so, we have a participant who is very focused on COVID-19, quite rightly so, and is really an advocate for making sure that in Monterey County we have testing that's available and the quickest possible results. And we are focused very much on that. The state also is helping us. So we are really trying to make sure that we have the ability for all people in every community, particularly our underserved communities, to be able to get accurate and speedy testing and results. So it's a big effort, and we've got staff focused on it 7 days a week, close to 24 hours a day. So that continues right along with all of the efforts on the fire and this super important water issue that, again, Kathy Biala and Melodie Chrislock, thank you so much for all your work and for being here to educate us and really remind people how important it is for their voices to be heard at the Coastal Commission on September 17th. The way the commissioners vote is not a done deal. So even though the staff has made a really strong recommendation, the commissioners are able to make any decision that they think is right. So encourage them to do what's in the best interest of our community.
And
So
thank you, Jan,
go ahead.
thank you so much, Jan, for your leadership on this. You've signed letters to the Coastal Commission, and you've met with the staff. Thank you for your leadership.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So much, Jane.
And that's it for tonight. We will be back not next week, but the following week with another virtual Hot Topics. And in the meantime, be safe and be kind.
Thank you.
Thanks.